It is going down in Las Vegas. We got overtime football. Shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers for putting on a show for us today. How's it going, guys? My name is Andrew. I'm your host. This is the Angle Fantasy Basketball Weekly Recap. We are here for Week 16. We got some news to dive into for today. So the NBA trade deadline was this week. Check out the YouTube channel. We got multiple trade alert videos. Braxton and I did instant reactions to all the trades that happened on deadline day, as well as the trade that happened the day before deadline day too. So we're going to plan to do trade alert videos moving forward. You can find those on the YouTube channel, Angle Fantasy Basketball, and also on the website, anglefantasybasketball.wordpress.com. Anytime there's going to be a trade moving forward, we're going to plan to do one of those trade alert videos. So that's something that we just started up for the deadline, and we'll continue to do moving forward. So we'll likely start to see trades again on NBA draft day. But so we covered a lot of all the trade news in those videos, but we do have a couple of transactions to cover of some big significance here that have happened during the week. So for starters, the most recent one is we have Kyle Lowry leaving the Charlotte Hornets to go sign with the Philadelphia 76ers. So this is, a move that's been coming for a long time. Lowry is from the area. It's been talked about for forever. It's even in a movie, the movie Adam Sandler movie Hustle. Lowry's hanging out with 76ers players. So this is something that everyone's seen coming for a pretty long time. So nice to see that it finally did happen for Lowry, especially because the 76ers opened up such a big hole in their backcourt rotation on trade deadline day, shipping away Patrick Beverley and Jaden Springer, and they still have DeAnthony Melton on the shelf too. So glad to see that they brought somebody in there. A myriad of moves that happened from the 76ers on deadline day, but they seem to be pretty well off, especially once Joel Embiid returns too. We also have news from the Los Angeles Lakers. So for starters, myself as a Lakers homer was actually kind of happy to see D'Lo stay with us. He was a former number 2 overall pick for us, so I really want to see him work things out here on the team. But the news with the Lakers that has happened since the deadline is that the Spencer Dinwiddie was bought out by the Raptors and he signed with the Lakers. So Lakers have another ball handler capable of producing some offense too that should hopefully help to lighten the load on LeBron James. So that's some NBA news that has been going on since the trade deadline has happened. All right, so on to some Dynasty talk now. So one of our analysts, Mitchell, he came out with an article this week. It could be found on anglefantasybasketball.wordpress.com. This article is looking into the recent rise of Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors. So be sure to go check that article out first off. But we have a podcast that we do called Rank Wars, where each of the analysts will kind of target somebody on each other's rankings list and then bring it up as a topic of debate and tell someone that we think they're too high or too low. Well, I'm going to do this to myself right now because with Jonathan Kuminga's recent performances, I was the lowest of the 3 of us during the January rank update on Kuminga. I had him at 133, and that's going to be too low. The man has been absolutely stepping it up lately ever since the whole confrontation that he had with Steve Kerr at the beginning of January. He's averaging 22 points, a little over 3 per game, 6 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.2 steals, and 0.7 blocks on 59% from the field, 79% from the line, and 47% from 3 at 31 minutes per game. Being that I was the lowest on Kuminga of the 3 analysts here, I'm still a little skeptical, especially of the 47% three-point shooting, but where I have him outside of the top 100 dynasty rank wise is definitely no longer justified, especially with his age, and then taking into the fact that he is ranked in the top 40 over the last month. So this is somebody who needs to be well inside the top 100. I mean, all 3 of us actually have Kuminga too low. We either have him in the outskirts of the top 100 or just breaking into the top 100 in the 90s range there. So definitely will expect to see Jonathan Kuminga rise up in our dynasty ranks on the next ranking update. Another subject of interest that came up this week, our Twitter account tweeted about how many just great dynasty assets have come out of the 2023 draft class so far. An interesting debate started on that tweet centered around Brandon Miller. Is Brandon Miller a top 40 to 50 asset? I liked Miller a lot, actually, even when especially during his time at Alabama, when he was building up his pre-draft stock there. When he had some poor performances in summer league. I actually did a video about this at the beginning of the season when he started his rookie season really well. The summer league performance was definitely underwhelming, but he was surrounded by some pretty bad teammates there. But it did cause some people to actually sour on Brandon Miller, and he would, usually slip past probably both Thompson twins and Scoot Henderson in dynasty drafts. So that was something interesting to see. But I think personally that he should be comfortably in the top 40 on dynasty boards. He's the recent number 2 overall pick. He's inside the top 60 in 9-cat value over the last month. This is somebody that you want to buy in dynasty. So congrats to you guys who did get Brandon Miller, in that 4 to 5 range in the dynasty startup drafts this year. There can be some debates around now if he's better than, the Thompson twins ahead of him, or potentially even Scoot too. There's even now starting to be some debates if he's potentially the best asset on Charlotte, being that LaMelo Ball deals with so many injuries now, and Brandon Miller is really starting to get a good amount of usage pumped through him. So very exciting stuff to see moving forward for Brandon Miller's career. All right, on to our 4s and 2s now. So obviously for this next week or scoring period in fantasy basketball, things are a little complicated because we have the All-Star break here. So there's not any 4s and 2s necessarily to talk about, but we do have some things that I want to note regarding the upcoming schedule for this All-Star break week 2-week matchup here. So this matchup takes place from February 12th to the 25th. So one thing to keep in mind for this entire period is that the Warriors play 6 times total. They're the only team that plays 6 times. Now, most teams prior to the All-Star break either play 3 times or 2 times. The teams that play 3 times prior to the All-Star break are the Warriors, the Grizzlies, the Bucks, the Wolves, and the Jazz. These teams play 3 times before the All-Star break, and everybody else only plays 2 times. Prior to the All-Star break, the Oklahoma City Thunder only play 1 time. Going to want to avoid streaming in Oklahoma City players during the beginning portion of the All-Star period there. Most teams play 2 to 3 times after the All-Star breaks occur, but there is 2 teams that only play 1 time after the All-Star break, and that is the Memphis Grizzlies and the Miami Heat. They only play 1 time after the All-Star break. Also, to the Heat in total during the entire All-Star scoring period play 3 times. So from February 12th to the 25th, the Heat want to only play 3 times. So OKC before the All-Star break is somebody that you want to avoid, and then you want to avoid the Grizzlies and the Heat after the All-Star break. All right, let's go into a review now of Braxton's buy-sell. So at the beginning of each week, our analyst Braxton does an article doing some buys and sells for redraft value. So we're going to take a look at his number 1 buy as well as his number 1 sell here. These articles for his weekly buy sells can be found on anglefantasybasketball.wordpress.com. So his number 1 buy was Ayo Dosunmu of the Chicago Bulls. So over the last week, Ayo ranked at the top 170. He averaged 11 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 2.3 threes per game. He played 3 times this last week. He shot 60% from the field as well. And he was playing 32 minutes per night. So Ayo can do that sometimes where he'll play a lot of minutes but be a bit underwhelming in the stat sheet. So he was having some success initially when Levine went out, but it looks like he's cooling down a bit there. So it's not, terrible performance. He didn't do anything to harm you statistically. It's not like he went out there and shot 1 for 12 or something like that, but he didn't do anything that's going to really wow you either. Braxton's number 1 sell was for Buddy Hield. So at the time of him writing this, Buddy was still a member of the Indiana Pacers. So for his last game as a Pacer during during this week, Buddy scored 12 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. He made 2 threes, actually shot 71% from the field, but he only played 24 minutes that night. So his minutes had been a bit sporadic lately on the Pacers. And that's obviously why he got traded, so that they could then commit long-term to guys like Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith. Maybe this can get some minutes for Jarris Walker too. We'll see. And now Buddy Hield was on the 76ers for the remaining portion of this week. He played over 36 minutes a game each night. He scored 20 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists the first night, 23 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals the second night. So not a great game at the time when Braxton wrote the article, with Buddy being a Pacer at the time. Not a great game for him on the Pacers, but obviously when he was traded to the 76ers, that opened up a completely new role for him. So that caps up the buy-sell review. All right, now looking on to the Angle Fantasy Basketball Player of the Week. We are going to award it to Luka Doncic. Luka averaged 31 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 1.8 steals, and 0.5 blocks per game. He played 4 times this week. He averaged 37 minutes a night, shot 51% from the field. He did hurt a little bit in the free throw category at 68%, but the counting stats, absolutely insane volume there from his points, his rebounds, and his assists too. And the threes was also something that you love to see, over 4 threes per game. That's getting near some Steph Curry stuff. That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at AngleFantasyBB. Check out the website, anglefantasybasketball.wordpress.com. I'll catch you at another recap, capping up both weeks during the All-Star scoring period. Be on the lookout for my newest Dynasty Outlook video too. That's going to release likely during the All-Star break. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.